consumers.
All right, now we want to transition into the world of film. And this is a world where we are used to silence on set, rolling, action, and cuts. And it's very interesting because it's a creative endeavor, but at the same time, when you flip the coin, it's a huge commercial enterprise. Globally, we consume these particular products and people make a lot of money. Now, question is, in the Kenyan context, are we able to do so? At the same time, we have actually the Kalash International Film and TV Market Festival and Awards this week. So what a better time to discuss matters film. And right now I'm joined by, on the far end, we have Mr. Timothy Owase, who's the CEO of Kenya Film Commission. And we also have Lucy Mwangi, who's the co-owner of Moonbeam Productions. And thank you very much, lady, gentlemen, for making time. For starters, we've just seen an item there about alternative credit data sets. Yeah, when I am trying to form a film company, then I approach a bank. They look at me and they're wondering, okay, you shoot for a living. Can we finance that? Has that been a challenge, maybe starting with you, Lucy, as an industry practitioner, accessing credit for creatives, filmmakers included?
It's interesting that that is the first question, because that's the conversation I was having with the CEO in the waiting room. Just the challenges of accessing finance as a filmmaker. And I can share from experience, and it's a story I've told over and over. I never tire of it. But when we started the production company, this was some 14 years ago, and we tried to get financing for some of the ideas we had. One of the institutions told us that we don't fund ideas, and essentially that is the business we are in. We're in the business of ideas, because we take the ideas that we have and create something, and finally we have, whether it's a film, it's a TV series, whether it's a song, but it starts as an idea. So no one is looking to fund that. So it was quite challenging, still is, very challenging to access credit for filmmakers. One, I understand, of course, it's because it's, there's not enough information or knowledge of what the film industry is. Very few people understand the business of film. Sometimes I wonder, even we filmmakers, whether you really understand this business of film. So it's very hard to bring in on board someone who is sitting in a bank somewhere with a finance mind, looking at the bottom line, to tell them to fund this grand idea, and let's cross our fingers that the audience will love it and then we can make our money back.
Definitely. Mr. Owase, have banks grown to a point where they can see beyond the idea and the potential that idea holds? Because ideas do run the world.
I think the answer is in affirmative. To start with, we must all appreciate the fact that storytelling is a real business. And any business, anytime Lucy comes up with a story, she's bringing up this story because she would like to feed a gap that she has identified. Meaning, filmmakers do research, identify what customers want before they can embark on crafting any product. So for banks, just like any other stakeholder, for me they are a very critical stakeholder to filmmakers, because for the entire value chain to be complete, we need money. And how do we get money if banks are not on board? So it's the right space for banks to be. They must be able to be part of the train to support filmmakers. And of course, filmmakers are not looking money for free. At the end of the day, whenever they get money from a bank, they should be able to pay plus an interest. All we are championing is that let's have business that has continuity, business that brings out a return on investment.
All right. Yes. And I mean, Lucy, you said a very interesting statement there, that even we filmmakers, we don't know whether we understand the business of film. When you talk about the business of film, because I know film has very many facets. I remember when I was younger, I used to boom swing, you know, all back. One of the toughest jobs on set. You should pay boom swingers better. But
see me.
Yeah, I'll see you on the side. But when you talk about film business, is it different from just the facets that we know? This is the component. We have on-screen actors, we have writers, we have directors. How do you simplify this business for us?
I think what I like to say about filmmaking is that it's the one industry that basically encompasses every skill, every talent. When you mentioned the boom singers, which sounds very abstract to someone who's not familiar with the set lingo, in a film set, you'll find a chef because the actors and the crew need to eat. You'll find a carpenter because we are filming inside a house, for example, or a set is a house, and we have seats, we have furniture, we have tables that will need someone to fix up. We have a makeup person for the actors. We have a wardrobe person. So today in the morning, I was talking to my wardrobe person who was in Gikomba shopping for clothes for a set. So when you think about the entire spectrum of the entire production process, we have we normally have very diverse skill sets that will work into just one production. And this is not looking at what we consider the back end of the professionals, which are the broadcasters now who give us, who commission us or buy our licenses to the content that we've created. So there's a lot of people who are involved in the film business. But for us, who I consider independent filmmakers like myself, where you go set up a business, and for the most part, it's driven by passion. But there's a point when you realize passion is not paying the rent or paying the actors. Yes. This passion needs to be converted to profit. So that's where, for the most part, sometimes we find that there's a gap. But then when you actually are able to find out how to now transform this passion and turn it into a profit, film is a very viable business. And it's a business that can employ so many people, like I've just mentioned. And we are here because why? Because there's a need for people to be watching news, business news, wherever they are. When we go home or when you're sitting on our laptops or when we have our phones, what are we looking at? We are looking at videos. That's entertainment done by a content creator. If you want to chill on a weekend, for example, you go on a platform where you're watching a movie, chilling, and as you're doing that, you're consuming content that a business person, who is a producer in this case, has gone ahead and produced. So we don't actively think about it, but for the most part, what we are doing with our downtime, and sometimes even when we should be working, is consuming content for the people that are in the business of film.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting because it reminds me that famous quote, ni kama video, ni kama drama. And you know, that seems to be, we are living almost in a film because we consume media so much. Yeah. As Kenya Film Commission, I know one of the intentions, you reach the grassroots first of all, reach these young people, the creatives, and empower them to see that this creativity, as we like it, not only can you enhance it technically, but also on the business side of things, on how to make money. Talk to me, what are you doing in the industry to sort of make that happen?
Well, Kenya Film Commission's mandate is to catalyze growth in the film industry. And as Lucy has mentioned, when you look at film as business, let's look at the starting point. First, before any producer comes up with a project, you come up with a business plan. And your business plan will entail the number of people you'll employ. It will entail what locations, how much money you are going to pump into this particular film, how you are going to distribute it, what are your expectations in terms of return on investment, which markets are your target, how you are going to price your product, and again, how you are going to package your film for it to be received by your audiences. As Kenya Film Commission, we believe in capacity and capability of our environment to be able to feed the demand for content. And that's why we undertake what we call capacity building in terms of skills. We also encourage investment into the sector so that we create room for filmmakers like Lucy to be able to have products that can be consumed by anybody and readily available. So when you talk about business of film, is to look at the A to Z of production and the commerce side. Remember, when you are writing your script, from a marketing point of view, my expectation is that as you write your script, you also think about how you are going to market this script to the actors, the director, and all those. Beyond that, as you start production, the process of production will entail the actual shooting of the film at an identified location. As you do this, you apply marketing techniques so that by the time you are ready to launch or to premiere your film or your product has been marketed at different phases to a level where the targeted audiences already are aware that this product is coming and it will be available from this channel at this cost.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's quite interesting. I really like that. Like, you sort of have to think through the whole value chain. And it reminds me of one of your products. I mean, Njoroa Uber, where you guys targeting, okay, the concept is about this guy who's in this business. But also there is so much potential of partnerships, of business, for people who operate in this, that commercial element even in storytelling. Because creatives, we want to be free. We want to be allowed to make people jump from 5th floor and land first floor, you know, and alive and breathing. But now, is there also that intentionality, even when you're writing and you're creating those foundations, you're thinking commercially?
Definitely, because like we said, at the end of the day, it's a creative, but it's still a business. So it needs to make sense. But it's not just finding the mix where we don't, again, overdo. The example you give of Njoroa Uber, for example, and opportunities for partnerships, definitely they're there. But then do we want to create a show where it's a 26-minute advertising platform, or do you want to tell an authentic story? But definitely, even as we are doing that, because I think even the appeal of the show is in the story, and we may not necessarily have to maybe get revenue on maybe placement or sponsorship opportunities within the show, but the number of people, for especially in Njoroa Uber, the platform it's on, it operates on a subscription basis. So the show, if it's extremely well done, the show becomes popular, then you find that you're able to draw in subscribers onto the platform. Yeah. So definitely we are thinking from a business perspective, and that now is what even informs the story writing process, because we are not writing for ourselves. We are writing for an audience. So what does the audience want to watch? And sometimes we find that as Kenyans, we have that question a lot. Are we creating for the audience, or are we telling the audience what it is that they need to watch? So it's now trying to find that sweet spot where maybe they've never watched something like this, but if we mix this with something that they are used to, then we can be able to get the audience to see, that is what we needed to be watching. You know what I mean? Like just creating new content and exploring new things. But yes, we work backwards. What does the audience want, or what would the audience want? And then now we write stories or we create content with basically that in mind.
That's very, very interesting. I know Kalasha is a big deal, honestly. And I love that we are able to, have, because when you see and look at the nominations, it kind of gives us a gauge of where we are, even globally speaking, where we stand. Just looking at this year's Kalasha, I know the focus is on the business of film, which is amazing. Talk to me, from your observation, the nominations, the quality of production, the deepness of storytelling, compared to last year and the year before, where are we? Are we making progress?
I think as we discuss the business of film in Kenya and the upcoming Kalasha, you realize that Kalasha is no longer just an awards. We are discussing the market, the festival, and the awards. And the reason as to why Kalasha has transformed into a market, a festival, and awards is because we recognize the need for filmmakers to transact. We've provided a platform for buyers and sellers of content to converge, connect, collaborate, trade, and create an opportunity for expanding their market. And that's why from Wednesday, you'll find that we have a delegation coming in from South Africa, from Uganda, purely because they are seeing an opportunity that they can be able to come and collaborate with the Lucy and other producers in Kenya, so that we can be able to tell not only Kenyan story, but African story. And we are also looking at a situation where within the market, we'll have an avenue for workshops, conferences, addressing various topical issues that are likely to either address challenges within the industry or to just enlighten filmmakers on what are the emerging trends. For example, Lucy is busy thinking about her next project, and she's imagining that other than contracting Noah to become the writer of her story, she'll rather contract AI to be able to tell the story. Mm-hmm. What are these likely to affect we as filmmakers? These are some of the key topics that will be discussed at Kalasha. Mm-hmm. And again, Kalasha being a platform to give us room to connect and interact, we'll be able to identify content sellers, buyers, and again, those who are involved in the business of broadcasting and so on will be exhibiting at KICC, meaning you'll be able to get much more than just learning.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good. I think it's a place to be. I want us to take a short break. Mm-hmm. Then after the break, we'll come slightly. Lucy, I want to gauge the balance, because the way the content game has evolved. You say you know your company founded almost 14 years ago. It has really changed. Even productions, I observe internally. There's so many avenues. You can post on YouTube, monetize on Facebook. Those are opportunities that are not very vibrant back then. So what does this mean for especially the young filmmakers in terms of monetizing their content? I'll be glad to pick your mind on that regard. But right now we take a short break right here on Business Today. Remember, our discussion is the business of film and how we can clean the lenses and make sure that we're making money from this creative endeavor. We come back with more.